Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Uprise Astrology Podcast. We're starting out with my screen share. Let me just stop this real quick because I want to make sure that I'm connecting to you guys. Welcome, everyone. We are going to be discussing the upcoming week. This upcoming week is going to be a new moon in the sign of Cancer. And what is going to happen is we're going to not only discuss this upcoming week, we are also going to go day by day into each of the days to kind of see like how to prepare. But I'm also going to give you an overview of what this month is going to be like, because there's a lot that is going to be happening in July. This new moon is going to be a really nice energy shift for most of us, but it does come with a sort of a trade-off. So we're going to talk about all of that. But before I begin, if you are here live in the chat in this weekly live right now, I want you to tell me where you're tuning in from. It just let me know how you're doing. I want to know how life is unfolding for you and how the astrology has been unfolding for you right now. And then also, if you're new to my channel, my name is Aylin Sky. I am an astrologer and a numerologist. I also focus a lot on forecasts on my channel. So if you are here, you like this type of, forecast, that I want you to stick around. Let's hang out, ring the bell, subscribe to my channel. But if you ring the bell, then you get notified. It lets you know when I'm going to be here, or if I put out a new video that's really important for the upcoming, weeks ahead. You get notified when you ring the bell. So do that. Now, you can always follow me on two different podcasts on two different platforms as well. It is Uprise Astrology Podcast on Instagram and on TikTok, and I create some really unique content there. If you are wanting to follow me there, you can. Okay. So the first thing we are going to do is I'm going to put the chart back up. We are going to be talking about the new moon first. So we're going to switch things up this week. We're talking about the main transit first this week. And so the thing that I want to just say right off the bat from everything that is happening this month is that July is going to be really busy, you guys. Like, July is going to be all over the place in all of the good ways, but also in ways where things are still going to be going through change. A lot of new changes will start and begin, sort of this transition phase for the next I really, honestly, when I'm taking a look at everything that's coming still this year, even well into next year, it's going to be really a lot of changes still up until April. Now, I've said this before in my videos. It certainly doesn't feel like that we are going through changes at times, because we are in the North Node, South patient, because everything that you're doing right now is going to amount to bigger things later. If there's something that you are working on right now, if you're the kind of person who is envisioning other things for your life, things are coming. Energies will come in, of course, in waves and tides, and you will be able to work these things out. Just, know that the plans are always on our side, but it's complex. It's not just always positive. There is going to be ebbs and flows of things. And so right now, I think the biggest thing that we're doing is we're just really recreating new patterns in our life that feel more valuable, that feel more true to who we are. And it takes time. This kind of a change or this kind of a mastery over anything in your life, it takes some time. And I just wanted to say that right from the get-go. So, what you see here is the chart for the new moon. I'm going to break down the chart a little bit first. Unfortunately, I don't know exactly how to kind of draw on this thing yet, but I'm going to be highlighting the planets. You'll see a light sort of green, mint green circle around the planets, and then you can kind of follow along. So here we see the sun is going to be at 7 degrees in Cancer. This new moon going to happen on June 28th. So this is going to be for this week on June 28th, right around 10:50-ish Eastern Standard Time. I'm in Eastern Standard Time. So that's when the new moon is unfolding. A new moon, if you're new to astrology, it is when the sun and the moon are together. It means conjunct. They are forming a new pattern for the month ahead, about approximately 28 to 29 days. And so that is what we're taking a look at with this new moon in Cancer. So you see the sun and the moon in the sign of Cancer. With Cancer, we are taking a deep look at emotional currencies more than we usually do. The moon also likes to be in the sign of Cancer. It's at home here. It's a beautiful new moon. Now, at the time when the new moon is happening, there are two aspects here that are unfolding that are giving us more insight as to what is coming. And the first one is the square that this new moon is forming towards Jupiter. Jupiter is in Aries at 7 degrees. And so this is going to be a time, I think, where we're really going to be focused on expansion, expanding who we are and what's true to ourselves. So emotionally, we're going to be expanding this aspect. We're going to dive into it because that's where the new moon is going to be at. But then also with this Jupiter square in Aries, we're definitely going to be, I think, in a place where there is a boost of energy we could be experiencing, because anytime that the sun is forming a square to Jupiter, we're taking a look at two planets that when they come together and they communicate like that, we are getting a boost of energy kind of to do whatever we want, to get accomplished whatever we want to accomplish. But we're doing it this time with the help of Jupiter being in Aries with a sense of passion. Okay. There's a sense of passion. We are wanting to take responsibility for what's true to us. And there is more of this type of a theme that we're diving into, not only this week, but that is sort of for the entire month. Okay. New moons are sort of a pulse for the entire month. So that's what I'm seeing here with this particular square. The other thing that is happening, we see that Venus is at 7 degrees as well. Okay. And it is forming a sextile over to Jupiter as well. So this is really, really important because I think that when it comes to relationships, we are more inclined to work things out, because let's go back to that square real quick. The sun square to Jupiter can bring up difficulties with other people. Whenever we take a look at a square, it is going to be a time where we have to work things out. Okay. A square is the type of degree or the angle that we need to work something out. We have to put effort into it. And the effort will either come because of a reactionary phase, or it will come because we know we're going to be putting that effort in. It happens in a moment. Something comes to us, we feel motivated to do it. There's a motivation behind it. So with this square in particular, there can be sort of a dynamic here where it can bring up difficulties with other people. And the reason for that is because we are working with 7 degrees. 7 degrees have a lot to do with your own personal convictions, your truth, what you know deep within you is you. And then imagine if there is a relationship where you're sort of working out this kind of a theme, then they are in that same space. And if you are not sort of in a place of trust, 7 degrees have a lot to do with trusting and having that sort of common denominator. Things can be difficult in the sense this month, but they are more inclined to work out if we put the effort in, if the relationship is important to us. And that is where the Venus Jupiter sextile comes into play. We can receive a new sort of agreement or a new way of doing things if we're really open to it, but we have to stay open to it. And you will obviously make that, decision for yourself. So this is a beautiful sort of sextile that I'm seeing as well with this, that I think we are going to sort of be in this place where I think we're going to think things over more. Even after maybe something is reactionary, we're going to think things over, and we're going to make decisions more based on what we really want in our own personal, field, in our own personal space, in our own personal truth, in our own personal sort of, this is really important to me and I want this to be a part of my life because it feels good and it feels spiritually necessary. That's another thing I want to say. The number 7, it is a degree that is very spiritual. It's the first sort of spiritual degree. Everything, of course, is spiritual, but the 7 really has to do with diving into sort of a spiritual sense, a divine sense, a sense you connected to your own sort of connection to God, if that is how you define it. This is another thing that we are sort of taking a look at, right? Where the spiritual aspect becomes now super important. And those emotions are going to be talking to us all month long. That there are some things that we have to work out. And we're going to be working them out first in the spiritual sense and then in the material sense. But we'll dive more into that a little bit later. Now, the other thing that I want to do now is I want to give you a little bit of a preview as to what are the good things this month, that I think that if you focus on these things, like where can you really maximize this particular new moon transit, right? And I want to talk about that. Of course, I have some notes here because I can't remember everything. I have to organize my brain a little bit around that. So I want to just really quickly talk about, I'm summing up some transits here that I'm not going to deep dive into. Just come back to the weeklies to kind of see what is happening during that week. But I just want to give you some themes without really diving into every single one of the transits. But looking ahead into this particular new moon transit, one of the things that I think that we are going to be in a good place in is that we are going to be able to figure out what or who supports us, what feels incredibly supportive to us, and where does that belong in our life? Where do we belong with that in our life? We're going to be identifying these pieces, the support systems. If you are in a place where you are needing support or you are looking to support what it is that you're doing, right? I'm talking more general because it's going to be, this theme is applicable in a million different ways for all of us, but the theme is support system. If you're looking for that, this month is going to be phenomenal to find it, to identify the pieces. And I think for a lot of us, this is going to happen very unexpectedly as well, that we start to realize that there is more available to us when actually maybe we thought there wasn't. So this is going to be a piece that is going to come in, I think, during this particular new moon transit. The other thing is that, and we talked about this already, just kind of identifying the chart here, we are going to be growing emotionally. There is a push to grow. And this push is an innate sort of like, it comes from you. It's not an external thing. It comes from you. You are going to be pushing to kind of do more, grow more. And as a result of it, though, what is happening this month is other people get impacted by it in a way where they are inspired to do the same, or they don't understand it because there's sort of a conflict. They don't understand it spiritually, okay? What it is that you're doing or why you're doing it. And there is a lack. And so you have to communicate about it. You have to sort of speak up about it. You have to really make sure that you're talking clearly why you are doing certain things, and doing the work from the inside out. If you're doing any kind of introspective work this month, you are going to really reap the rewards for that. I think more in a faster fashion than we did up until this point. I think that is what this new moon transit is really, really good for. And often this kind of thing that I'm talking about, introspective work, it might actually be something that you're going to be able to accomplish more in solitude. So taking the time for yourself and really working with your own self in your own space to whatever that looks like. Some of you have a prayer practice, some of you have a meditation practice, some of you, you just need that moment in the morning, with your coffee alone, just kind of thinking things through. And just even sort of an intention setting practice is a beautiful time to do during this month, because this month there is so many squares that are happening, by the way. Okay. We have so many squares. We have a lot of amazing trines that are happening, but a lot of what we're going to be going through requires for us to have our utmost attention. I think looking at the month ahead, this is going to be a time that if we take that time for ourselves, we're really going to be able to have aha moments of taking this time that is super valuable and that recharges us. Okay. So that's another thing. The third thing that is really major this month, or with this particular transit, is that we're going to be working through topics of money, resources, material aspects, and the security of those things. And so a lot of decision making is going to be happening for you personally, okay, that is coming up because the external, whatever's happening in the world, whatever's happening with you and other people, if there's maybe shared sort of income, or something that is happening with laws even, that will sort of make you think more about finances. It'll make you think more about what you need to do in order to feel secure, or what you need to do in order to secure certain things that you need that are part of your life, or you might even cut them out. Okay. There's some things that you might cut out. You just don't need that anymore. It's not true to you anymore. It doesn't speak to you in a spiritual sense anymore. So you just don't need it. And so I think that we're going to be working that out as well this month. So these are the three sort of major themes. Challenges. Let's talk about it, because we have both. We always have some really great things happening, but we also have things happening that require for us to dig in a little bit deeper. And so what are those things? The first thing is that you can witness a lot of dishonesty this month, okay? A lot of recklessness this month. A lot of people who will be more on the cruel side of doing things, who will be more reckless when they're doing it. And they're doing it because we have that Aries energy, okay? We have that Cancer energy that is fueled with cardinal energy, okay? It initiates a sudden reaction, a sudden emotion, a sudden way of doing things. And the way in which the degrees are going to be aspecting this month, there can be dishonesty because you just are too much in the emotion to recognize that if you took a step back, or if the person took a step back, that they could have done things differently. That'll come later. But for this month, we're looking at that kind of a theme. So don't be surprised if that happens. Okay. It's just the way that in which the transits are going to be aspecting each other. Of course, there's always going to be that kind of a thing that we could be experiencing. But in particular, this month, it is going to be around these two things I just mentioned. The other thing is that you could, if you don't take the time, right? How I said earlier, if you don't take the time to be clear, or you nurture yourself in the ways that you know are really good for you, you could create some confusion because of the way in which the transits are going to be happening this month. There's so much that is going to be unfolding. In the moments when you need to make decisions, you could become more indecisive because there's a lot that's going on. Your emotions are a part of it. If you don't ground yourself this month, there could be this sort of indecisiveness and then confusion that results out of it. That's another thing that I'm seeing. Okay. Frustrations are also a little bit on the horizon. That is going to happen more at the later part of this new moon transit. The reason for that is because I think that some of us can be really caught up in the lack of recognition for something in your personal relationships. This can be if you, like, let's say you were an influencer on social media, and all of a sudden you just see that there's sort of this frustration that comes up because you want something and it's not happening at the pace that you want it, or it's not happening as fast, or it's not happening because you are now comparing yourself to some other person. And so there is this lack of recognition that could come out of it, a frustration that could come out of it. This is another thing to look out for this month. Okay. These are the things we're going to be working through. Lastly, I do want to say this, and this pertains to Pluto, because Pluto is going to make some interesting aspects this month. It's involved in the story all month long. I mean, let's not forget that Pluto is finishing up its transit in Capricorn. And we are definitely feeling that. We're feeling the chaos in the world with so many power moves, with so many moves that are happening behind the scenes, that some of it comes to the forefront. And so I think this month in particular, what we could be witnessing is sort of stories that expose people who technically are just doing things to stir things up, to get a rise out of you for a particular outcome. We could be witnessing that. We could be witnessing that in the collective as a whole together, or you could also be witnessing this sort of in your own life with groups of people or with particular people that are part of your life, that you start to realize, they're doing this thing just to get you upset, or they're doing this thing just to get you to a point where they're getting a reaction out of it because they enjoy it for whatever weird, bizarre, and screwed up reason. So that is another thing. And I think on the other side of all of that, if you are not experiencing that, good for you, right? Like, we are right now going through relationship changes. So if you don't experience this really good thing, you could, though, work out something that has to do with money, and it's a conflict spiritually. So you could, perhaps you're trying to make more money, but then it sort of doesn't, a part of it is speaking against your own spiritual, like the way in which you're going to make that money might spiritually not be true to you. It doesn't feel right to you, or it could be the other way around. Okay. You are spiritually in a place where, you're wanting to make more money, but you feel like you don't deserve it. Those are the types of things that could come up, that we could be working out subconsciously, but also in the inside of the story as well. So this gives you a little bit of an overview as to what's coming this entire month. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is we are going to be diving into the day by day to kind of give you a little bit of an idea as to what is coming every single day. Okay. For this week, which is going to be June 27th through July 3rd. I hope I said that right. Yes. Monday, June 27th through July 3rd. This is all Eastern Standard Time. So make sure that you look to where your time zones are at. Okay. So Monday, the sun is going to be in Cancer at 6 degrees. And I see this at meddling, but caring. This is going to be a very interesting start to the week. I think that because the moon is going to be in the third decan of Gemini, it's finishing up there. Something's up, something's brewing. We kind of feel it. There's sort of this, like, I want to get into things, I want to do things. And so the best use of Monday is to keep things light and to just, stay open and just allow for yourself to do all of the things that keep you light in the sense. Okay. Try not to get involved in anything too serious. Just keep it fun. This is Monday. All right. So Tuesday on June 28th, the sun is going to be in Cancer. This is when we have the new moon. I don't really necessarily think that this is going to be a day packed with everything we just talked about. Generally speaking, new moons, they create this pulse, this light of energy, and the energy transfers will start to begin after that. So I think that on this day particularly, what we're going to be more inclined to do is being in question or being in inquiry, questioning things, oh, I wonder how this is going to, like, let's say you're taking a look at the rest of the week or whatever it is that you're going to be thinking about. You're questioning, sort of, you're asking questions, you're in the inquiry of it. You might not have the answers, but there's sort of a calm. There is, like, to this day. Okay. So it's best for introspection work on this day. It's best for an emotional check-in point. This is really good for that. And then what aspects of your lives are you, like, currently working through, and why? I think that if you wanted to journal about anything, this would be a good one to do on this day. And then what does it mean to you to cultivate sort of a connection to yourself and the values that you hold in your life right now? Why is that really important to you? And strengthening those, that could be a good sort of working through type of energy here for on Tuesday. Okay. All right. So sometimes when I talk about astrology, I, like, get into the astrology, like, so excited that I can't think fast enough. All right. So, or I can't speak fast enough. That's what I meant to say. There you go. Wednesday, June 29th, the sun is going to be in Cancer. I said emotionally responsible for this day. I think that there is the eighth degree is always in a degree that has a sense of seriousness to it, a sense of sort of, I want to take responsibility for something that is all across the board. It doesn't matter what sign it is in. The eighth degree is sort of that kind of a degree. And I think that there's sort of, the mood is serious. The moon is going to be now in the later degrees of Cancer. There's a seriousness to it. This day is best for staying loyal to what's important to you, getting some things done, grounding yourself emotionally, and then honoring what's best for you for the day, for the next 24 hours. Thursday, this is going to be June 30th. The sun is in Cancer now at 9 degrees. This is a jam-packed day, honestly, emotionally speaking, okay? I set expectations old and new. I know, looking at my week ahead, this is definitely going to be a time where I'm going to be reconnecting to someone in my life that I have not, spoken to in a really long time. And there's obviously reasons for it. So it was just so spot on when I was doing the report for this week. I was like, oh my gosh, it's definitely going to be a day where I think that we are going to take a look at our expectations within our memories of emotional sort of connections to other people. It can be that you process it on by yourself, but it could also be that whatever you're doing, like at work, you could start to understand sort of the idea around expectations within your relationships. And this has to do with old and then new ones, because there's a shift sort of that's happening here. So you can expect that. The moon is going to finish up in Cancer, then moving on to Leo. And the mood here is that you feel more confident, but definitely with ego. Okay. There's a confidence with ego attached to it. And I want to say that in the beginning of the day, the first half of the day, the moon is going to come into a square with Mars around 26 degrees. This is when we're going to sort of make a decision emotionally, how we really want to show up for something, how we want to be towards a particular issue. And then bam, the application, the highlight of this week happens when Mars starts to square and apply to Pluto. Okay, this is going to be at 27 degrees. This is when the application of the highlight transit is happening for this week. I think that what we need to keep in mind is that this is not going to get activated until Friday, but on Thursday evening, I think you start to understand what it is that you need to deconstruct within your own patterns in order to overcome a challenge. If that is on your mind, okay? If that's on your mind. Some of us will not think like that. Some of us are going to probably be more in a space where we could be reactive. We could start to have sort of a brewing of emotions that come up because something just really pissed us off, or something really just didn't land the right way with us, or you start to realize, there's this power struggle in regards to a subject, but it starts to come up. It's not something that plays out until Friday, which Friday in my opinion, is going to be the highlight of this week. This is when the sun is going to be in Cancer at 10 degrees. And I said upgrades. The reason I said upgrades is because the moon is on the second decan of Leo. And it's going to be a profound day. It's going to be a day that also has to do with dignity and being proud. And proud of sort of like how you're reacting. Doesn't matter how it goes, okay? The square between Pluto and Mars is going to be exact now at 27 degrees. And it's sort of building up all day. It becomes exact at 10 o'clock at night. It's Eastern Standard Time. So Pluto-Mars squares are generally speaking extremely helpful when you are trying to overcome an obstacle, when you're trying to push through onto the other side of a challenge. So we're going to get that opportunity to work through those things during this entire 24, even 48 hours into it. Now, on the other hand, though, because Pluto has a lot to do with trust and boundaries, generally speaking, you could have sort of a misuse of that. So some of us could be involved in situations where, Mars will sort of cut down on the trust with Pluto together. And then there is sort of a difficulty working through a situation. Arguments could arise. You could have sort of a fight in a way, where there's a struggle that's going back and forth. Who is better? Who has more power? That is sort of the energy theme here. The other thing I wanted to say for people who are working on physical stuff right now, okay? Not a guarantee, of course, I'm not a doctor, but physical stuff like energy in general in the body, this is a square where health-wise there's a shift that happens for the better because it's like so profound. Pluto, the whole entire promise of Pluto is that it follows through. It follows through every time, okay? It follows through on the promise that there is going to be an A, humbling experience, and B, there is going to be the truth of something, okay? And once we get to the truth of something, we get clarity around it. Once we have clarity around it, we actually, most of the time, we now no longer struggle with this thing, okay? So this energy right here is really, really good to get a lot of energy and unleash it, right? It's like an unleashing of your energy that sort of rises up and something turns out for the better. So there's a shift in energy that happens here. And then given the degree that it's going to be at, 27, this is where I think there could be other people involved. If you're in a group setting, if you are in a setting where other people are part of this day or decision making, again, these options I'm giving you, it's not true for everybody, right? It's going to play out a little bit different for all of us. But in general speaking, this can involve a group of people and there can be a challenge that is happening amongst key players, okay? The people that make decisions, the people that are part of your company, the people that are part of like the group, wherever you are, if there's a group setting, there could be sort of this full on, we're going to make this work. We're going to push through this. We're going to challenge ourselves. We're going to work through it, or we're going to leave it all together. We're not going to do it. That type of energy. Okay. The other thing I want to point out here, like, let's say if there's anything that happens, like as far as like something you're watching in the news, something like that, could be witnessing someone falling, being like a victim to a situation. And it is very profound. It is impactful. It is something that we're not going to be able to take our minds off. Okay. Just because this transit, because it's Pluto and Mars together, we could be having that kind of a story where something is so ruthless and it puts someone into such an inferior position. We could be experiencing this, witnessing it, and you can't take your mind off of it. It impacts you. It changes, it turns something within you to stand for something bigger or stand for the person who is in the inferior position. Something like this could be unfolding as well. What a highlight day, it's going to unfold. Generally, when it starts to apply, it peaks and then the next day. So let's say 3 days. Okay. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is when this energy is going to play out. So, okay. Let's take a look at Saturday and Sunday. That's what we have left. Saturday, July 2nd, the sun is going to be in Cancer at 11 degrees. This is when now the moon is going to finish its transit in Leo, moving into Virgo. It's a faithful kind of mood, but it's also a mood where, because 11 degrees has a lot to do with like standing between, is sort of like a moment where you have to bring a balance back. This is when we're trying to make sense in Cancer of the past memories, the past somehow, and relationships and connections to it. We're trying to make sense of it. We're trying to understand it. We're trying to get to the bottom of our own, the other, everything involved. Okay. So we're analytical here. But the other thing that's really interesting about Saturday is that right after this Pluto Mars square, we go into this Mercury Neptune square at 25. And whatever we are, like, let's say, regurgitating, we're telling a story, or we are trying to say something to someone, it might come out in a weird way. It might not be clear. It might create confusion. So there's confusion in communication, confusion in understanding the other person or being understood. So you could say something here that just is not perceived in the way that you meant. Expect that. On the other hand, with Mercury square Neptune, someone could be bending the truth. I mean, this happens a lot, right? If you think about it, like if I think about some scenarios in my life, like where another person was bending the truth just because they didn't want the confrontation, they didn't want to be looked at in a particular way. They also didn't want the drama. They didn't want to get involved. They kind of wanted to stay on the sidelines of the drama, but they didn't want to like say that missing piece that really made a difference. That's the kind of energy we're taking a look at here. I'm laughing because like those moments are just so vital, you know? But if you're trying to clear something up, you could now realize that a missing piece of information, either you are the person or the other person is not coughing it up. They're not saying it, you know, to avoid like confrontation in a situation that's unfolding here. So, the other thing though with 25 is that if you're persistent, you will have divine intervention here. And if you're precise and you're looking for the truth, you can get to the truth. 25 is that kind of a degree. 25 is the kind of number like if you want that sort of assistance, you can reach for it, but it has to be in a truthful way, has to be in a humble way, has to be for the right reasons. Okay. Now, for all of you people out there that are studying something right now that has to do with spiritual studies, this is a profound day to deepen your studies, to really get to the bottom of something that you're studying. You could be really deepening your understanding of something that means a lot to you that you couldn't quite grasp. So this kind of energy is going to be good for that as well. All right, Sunday, July 3rd. The sun is in Cancer at 12 degrees. We're learning from past mistakes. This is when the moon is now moving on to the later degrees in Virgo. We're just analyzing Sunday. We're just sort of, what have we learned? What are we learning from the past? What are some of the things that you need to change? You need to initiate. You need to just drop. You need to let it go. Those are the types of things, okay, that Sunday is going to bring. All right. So we unpacked the entire week. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to read cards for the collective for the week ahead. What are some of the things that we need to know right now? So I'm going to pull from my tarot deck over here. I love this deck. I know I keep showing my decks because some of you get curious about it. The Light Seers Tarot. Okay. That is the deck that I'm using for today. And I want to know how you guys are doing. I also want to know if you like this style of report. You know, it's really hard sometimes to figure out like how to bring the amazing information of astrology out to you guys. And I just want to know if you like this. I'm the kind of person like I want to know what's happening every day for the week because I like to be very present in my life like that. But I want to know if you are really benefiting from this. And because that's important, right? It's important that you do. Our first card, the Page of Cups. So this week is going to be an emotional learning week, 100%. The Page of Cups is the kind of card where, we are emotionally going to be taking a look at a portion of our life that is new, that feels new, that comes in and it ignites something. When you take a look at this card here, the person's chest area is sort of lit up and there is energy that is rising that has a lot to do with us looking towards an opportunity or looking towards a change or looking towards a situation in our life that feels like, could really take us to new heights, to new levels, to new upgrades. And we would not maybe necessarily experience the same thing again. It would be something completely different. Okay. Hold on one second. I'm going to open up my office door because my dog wants to get out because she does this every single week. Hold on one second. Go ahead. She just gets like tired of being in the room and then she starts whining and then it's our time. Okay, Nina said, I love this daily format. Thank you so much for that feedback. I am going to actually, just to let you guys know, I am preparing. We're going to start in August. We're going to start our each zodiac sign readings back up. We're going to do that. But as you guys know, I have been recovering from mold illness, and it has been a very long 2.5-year journey to get my health back. And of course, last week I was a little bit under the weather. So I whenever that happens now, I put my health first. I have to make sure I take care of myself. But I've been really on the struggle bus because I want to do more. And I just had to really follow the advice that I have been getting, which is, right now I need to follow through on all my protocols. I need to finish up my health protocols, and I'm there. I'm almost there. So I'm doing a lot better. I still have some issues that I'm working through, but I'm under great care. So we are going to go back to other formats as well. So this was the kind of format I worked out, and I'm going to commit to this, of course. But I really want to get down to the specific zodiacs. So we're going to pick those back up. I used to do them on my channel. When I was going through the mold stuff, I know, Nina, you've been here with me for a while, but I've had so many videos here. I think I must have deleted 300 YouTube videos, something like that. Because I started this channel in 2017, something like that. Thank you. Yes, it is good to hear. Yeah, I know. It's whenever we get sick like that, we have to make sure we take care of ourselves. I hope that everyone is well and everyone is doing well and that you're doing, amazing, even though things can be really chaotic right now. We're in a complex time. So I'm going to pull one more card for the collective because I feel like we have to. Yeah. So the end of the week. So we start the week out with the Page of Cups. That's the feeling I'm getting. The Page of Cups, sorry, the other side. And then what happens at the end of the week, we are just so much richer in the emotional experience for whatever reason. Expect that there is going to be an emotional shift for the better by the end of this week. It doesn't matter what unfolds. It really doesn't. Even if there is something that is confrontational, we talked about the energies between Pluto and Mars. Expect with the King of Cups that you're going to be emotionally just so much richer because of what it is that you have learned. And I think that I want to go back to this. If you take the time to honor sort of what's happening, even if it's just 5 minutes sitting still, just kind of getting clear around where you're at, you're going to reap benefits of that whole action. And I think that's going to be really, really amazing for this week. The King of Cups, the other thing for many of you, you need to hear that a relationship right now is really important as far as you understanding more about who you are. And for many of you, I see that that relationship that you're working on has had many challenges, many ups and downs, many twists and turns, many plot twists. And trust is something that was missing. That was the link inside of that relationship to establish the trust first. It didn't happen. That is really the bottom line. Okay. Some of you needed to hear that. Okay. What we're going to do now is we are going to throw our astro dice and see what zodiac sign needs to get the message for this week, or what you need to hear right now. Okay. It could be not just for this week, it could be something that you need to hear. So we're going to roll this dice and then just see. Okay. All right. Scorpio. I think we had Scorpio a couple weeks ago. Scorpio is going through a lot of relationship changes right now. Relationship bonding. New agreements. Okay. 8 of Wands. Sorry, I don't read the cards reversed because I just feel like I don't have to do that. I know some of the tarot card readers do that. Totally up to them, but I don't. 8 of Wands. So for many of the Scorpios right now, you're really trying to establish a very specific relationship outcome. Now, there's something missing, and that missing piece is coming. It is coming to you. Okay. What you need to know though, it is coming to you via a conversation. It's not just something that it's going to just, you have an aha moment, out of the blue. It is a moment where you are in a conversation and you just go for the conversation. That's what the card is suggesting here. Go for the conversation, really share, and then see what the other person is going to communicate back to you, because they're not going to expect for you to open up like that. That's interesting. They're not going to expect for you to open up like that, but they're going to like it. And I think you are going to surprise yourself. So it's going to work out even better than what you imagined, actually. But a part of you still feels nervous. Why do I feel nervous? Like a part of you still feels nervous about this whole goal of yours. And why are you nervous about it? Uh-huh. Okay. So the reason you're nervous about it is because you're going to have to leave someone or something behind. And right away, what I'm getting is if you're a Scorpio sun, moon, or rising, and you are in this situation that we're describing right now, it is going to be tough for a few days, but you are going to move on quicker than what you think. This situation that you're trying to like, I keep wanting to say tie the knots. It's so weird. The situation that you're trying to secure is something that you want to focus on, you want to put your energy into. Because it's your passion, it's what you feel or who you feel passionate about, and it's going to work out better than what you expect. Conversation piece coming this week that is going to just kind of blow you away in the way in which it's going to turn out. And that piece of information is going to give you that nudge that you need in order to make this emotional cut. And this emotional cut has to happen. You know that it has to happen. I don't even have to tell you why it needs to happen, but let's just see what the outcome is. Okay? If you do it this week. And I don't think that you should wait. Honestly, I don't think you should wait. Don't wait. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, it's a beautiful card. Three of Wands is a beautiful card. Three of Wands is like a fresh start. And that's what you need right now. You need that fresh start. You sort of like, it's like the fresh start you didn't know you needed. So I think you're going to be happier than what you think. And I think that, you're going to navigate this better than what you think. I think a part of you was nervous about that because it involves a grief or somebody else's emotions as well with walking away. But again, the cards are just backing it. Like, it's going to be better than what you think. It's not as big as you think in your head than what it is actually when you start doing this emotional cut. And it requires for you to speak up. It requires for you to say this thing. It requires for you to walk away. It requires for you to drop this thing that you were involved in. It's all fine. It's all fine. Okay. That's what you needed to hear. And you needed to hear that. All right, you guys. This is the wrap up of today's episode for the week, for what's coming with this new moon. I am just excited to be back here with you. I know last week we were missing out on that report. Thank you so much for holding that space for me. Thank you for your words. And I will be back with more information. Always look out for my live on Sundays. That's when we go live, or that's when the report is coming out for the next week. Thank you again for all of your support. Again, if you were here for the first time, make sure that you subscribe. I want you to be part of the Uprise Astrology Podcast family. Subscribe, ring the bell, and then also leave a comment, right? Because I want to know how you guys are doing. That always, just it's always nice to know how you guys are doing and how things are unfolding for you. And then I will be back next week. Bye.